Hi friends, in this video we'll have a look at scope and lifetime of variable along with its storage classes. This is one of the simplest things which you can learn in C, and it's all just English translations. Okay, scope is, let's go and pick the word first. Scope is nothing but like how far you can see through things. Okay, how far your problem is visible to others. Okay, like people used to say, okay, what is the scope of the problem, like that. Okay, and lifetime is like you might be visible, your visibility might be limited, but you will be alive. Okay, others cannot see you, but you have your own problems. That's about visibility, lifetime. Okay, let's give a real-time example. For example, if you have a data pack of 5 GB and it expires in 30 days. At the end of the 29th day, you might have 1 GB left, which you may or may not be use it. So though the scope is there to use it, your lifetime is getting over. So in the next day, if you are not using, whatever the data remains will get expired. Okay. The same thing applies to variables in programs as well. A variable is something which holds the data. It might be alive, but it may not be visible to others. Okay, that's the first case. Second case is like it is not alive and hence it's not visible to others. So it is dead, so it is not visible to others. These are the two cases which can come along with the scope and the lifetime, which is the validity. Okay, the scope would shrink visibility of variable within a block or within a function or within a file or across files. Okay, like that it expands. So it's like in your college days you have like your own bench. So first bench or second bench or the middle bench. Then it goes to your class. Then it goes to your department with all the 4 years. And after that it goes beyond different colleges, like that. The scope increases depending upon your skill and potential. As I said, in C, for every variable the scope is defined clearly. Okay. These are the 4 scopes which is present: block scope, function scope, file scope, and program scopes. Okay, block is nothing but a set of statements which is enclosed between the curly braces. That is called block. We'll have a look at in the things detail. And most of the things which comes in the block scope are the auto variable, and then goes with the static, register, and extern. We'll have a look at all the storage classes subsequently. These both are interrelated. It's not far away from each other. Okay, let's see a simple program. So you see this curly braces, right? That is one block. So for this main, the block starts at the first point and it ends at the last curly brace. Okay, so now I have declared a int which is inside this block scope. If I have another function, let's assume f1 or f2 or whatever function, this I may not be accessed over there. If I use I there, I have to declare a new I. If I don't declare it, it will give me an error. Okay, as simple as that. So that is called one block. Okay, now let's go to a little next level thing. So I have a variable count equal to 0. And there is one more block, do while block. Here also there is a variable count 0. Ideally, in C, if you declare 2 variables with the same name, it will give an error. Here in this code, it has not given an error. The reason is the inner variable dies only with that scope and not lies only within that scope. The second scope is the other one. Okay. So who gets the priority? Now comes the question. So it's always very simple. Local guy gets the priority no matter wherever it is. Even in the real time, the local guys gets the power compared to any other guys who came from the other places. The same applies here as well. The count I incremented here will increment only the count which is inside the do while loop. Okay, not the count which is outside. Okay, if I print it, so what will happen is like here the count till that it expires, and then the other set the count would be always 0. Okay, so now going back to the validity. Okay, So, and one more thing, this thing is called the shadowing. I mean, you are shadowing the guy who is outside with the guy who is inside. Okay, so it's kind of proxying or whatever you want to call it. But in general, it's called shadowing. If the variable stays with the same name, it's called a shadowed variable. And the shadowed variable, in the shadowing, the local variable gets the highest priority, and he goes as a king. So in your area, you are the king. Okay, so that's the rule over here as well. And whatever variables which is declared inside the functions are stored in stack. Okay, and hence they die once the function completes. Okay, so first we have seen the block scope, and second one is the function scope. The function scope is the one which is, I said, the main. So if I have another function f1, and if I declare a count over there, that main is completely different from that count will be completely different from the current one. Okay, so both are not related by any means, except it looks with the same name. That's all. It's like having another guy with the same name Arun somewhere else. He is completely different and I am different. So you can't expect us to behave same. Okay, even if I die, he might live separately because we are different copies, or we are altogether different variables. That's called function scope. Okay, and file scope is like if anything is declared out of the function, they are called file scope things. Like a static variable could be declared outside. The same way global variables can be declared outside. Those are all at the file level scope things. Whereas the local variables or the automatic variables are stored in stack, and it dies once the function gets over. That's the property of a local variable. Okay. Now going back to the next set of things. Okay. So here I have declared a global variable int count equal to 0. So that count is completely different from this one, and completely different from the one in the inner. So it's like the outer guy is masked by the inner guy, and the inner guy is masked by the innermost guy. Okay, the first count is masked by the count which is declared next to the main, and that is masked by the guy who is inside the thing. Okay, so the first count lives throughout the function. Okay, there is one catch for the local variables to live alive. So if you want a local variable to sustain throughout the program, what you have to do is you have to just declare a word called static before it. Okay, what it does is it removes the variable, or it takes the variable's lifetime from the stack to the BSS segment, and it puts over there. It puts in the data segment, and hence it lives till the program gets finished. Okay, so here even let's assume here we have declared everything in a main. Okay, but if I declare another function, it will be alive even if the function call is over. So these are called static variables, and they are stored in the data segment, and the lifetime is till the program end of the program. And the next storage specifier is the register. So in microprocessor or somewhere we have read like so there are registers inside the microprocessor which holds the data. Okay, it is same as that. So when you say that, you instruct the program to store your data in the register if it is free. Okay, but it doesn't mean that, it is not guaranteed that when you say this it will be always there. Okay, if the register is not available, it will automatically, the C will automatically treat your register variable as a local variable, and it will start processing that way. Okay, so ultimately ending up with no significance of putting the variable, the storage class over there. Okay, and the last part is the external specifier, which we'll have a look at it. So in the register, like if it is available, it will give it, or else it will not. That's the only constraint. If it is not available, the space is not available, treat him as a normal variable. Okay, and it is not initialized to any value, and it is initialized to 0. Okay, now comes the global variable and external variable. Okay, so external variable is like a variable which is declared in some other file which you can access from this file. In college level, we'll work maximum with only one file. So we might have never worked in multiple files, but in real world when we work, so we used to have thousands of C files with the different header files, and one file might be calling another file, function is another file. In that cases, the one way is to access to is to go with the register. Okay, to summarize all those things, first is block scope, which is with the open curly braces and the close curly, then function scopes, then file scope, then program scope, which means that till the program ends. Okay, so these are the different scopes and storage classes. And the storage classes, when we mean auto, it is stored in the stack. When we say static, it is in the data segment. When we specify register, it is supposed to be register. If not available, it will fall back to stack. Okay, last but not least, external specifier, which is same as the global variable, which stays in the data segment, but it is in the other files. Okay, you are trying to access other files, and to understand this much better, you have to do a lot of workouts. Try shadowing a global variable with a local variable, static versus automatic, and there is something called pointers. If you get to pointers, always remember to try out the scope and lifetime with the pointers as well. Okay, we have declared as a normal variables. Okay, try there as well. Thank you friends. Bye bye.